I mean, in one word, the story. It's all about what you're saying. That there's a space certainly for both very shaky, crappy footage and high quality production.
My name's Peter Sumpton, and this is the Marketing Study Lab podcast. A podcast for those that are thinking, have thought and are doing, or already have a marketing qualification. Or even if you haven't, and you just want to know that a little bit more about what good, happy marketing is. As we cover a whole host of marketing topics, I chat to some amazing guests, each one a superstar in their own niche. And if you have a burning marketing question already, or after this episode, get in touch. We'll chat it through. peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk. Or find me on LinkedIn. The link is in the show notes. If you'd like to leave a review on iTunes, this will really help others find this podcast and spread the marketing word. Now let's get on with today's episode. On this episode, I want to introduce you to Postit Marketing. What's Postit Marketing, I hear you say? Well, some of you. Well, Postit Marketing, ironically, is what I post on all relevant social platforms, but mainly LinkedIn. And these are 30 to 60 second videos about a marketing topic to give you an insight into the industry and some of its nuances. But more of that later. But first, let's have a chat with Phil Nottingham from Wistia, the go-to chap for video marketing, which is integral to consider in today's marketing communications planning. We'll find out how to create compelling videos and how they can help with SEO. So let's first start by asking Phil, what is your favourite music video?
It's my favourite music video.
I don't know why, but when I think of, if somebody says music video, I just think of Robert Plant, Addicted to Love. I've got no idea why.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's go with my favourite music video is one that I saw last week, which is very good, I thought, by Amanda Palmer, who did a sort of political one with lots of artsy models and stuff in a hotel room. And it's very well shot and directed. I thought it was very good.
Excellent. That leads us very nicely onto you telling us your story about what's been the formula that's brought you to this stage in your career as video strategist for Wistia.
Gosh, so I, as you know, anyone wanting to work in marketing would do, went and studied a degree in experimental theatre. So I think at A level I studied maths and music and theatre, and I was sort of, I liked that kind of polymathic view of things with a focus on both the sciences and the arts. And then I went to got a place at drama school in London, which was quite competitive. So I jumped at the chance to go there and spent 3 years kind of prancing around doing various things. Left there, directed a few theatre shows, worked as a stuntman for a while, started doing lighting and sound. Just sort of anything I could to kind of get to work and make a little bit of money here and there and all that kind of stuff. Eventually I ran out of money because there isn't a lot of, it's quite hard to make ends meet in that industry. So I ended up getting a job doing some data entry just to sort of pay the bills. And then from there, the organization I was working for was sort of doing TV technology. And I kind of got interested that somebody downstairs was editing these videos, and I thought that looked kind of fun. So I basically sort of, just wangled my way in my spare time to have a go with the equipment there and try a few things and learn some skills doing that. And then eventually got to move departments slightly in that company, do some marketing, left and joined a marketing agency as I got a job there. And then kind of, was able to bring my understanding of, I guess, storytelling from all the theatre work that I was doing and the technical side of video from the previous editing that I was doing. Like, it was some hardcore kind of, how do you get raw footage from a camera through up to a satellite and back down to TV? So like, real proper video editing. So learned all the kind of stuff in the back end there, and was, I guess, able to apply that then to marketing knowledge. And in that world, I just kind of had the complete accidental good trifecta of things that you need to be good at video marketing, which is understanding storytelling, understanding technical side of video, and understanding the principles of marketing. And was then doing a bunch of public speaking, got headhunted by Wistia, and voila, 3 years later, I'm still there.
Okay, can you explain what you do as a video strategist now at Wistia? and what video marketing is all about. I know you touched upon it just at the
Yeah,
end
sure.
of that explanation there, but if you go into a bit more detail, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, so Wistia is a video software company. So my role is slightly different to what it has been historically, where I was kind of consulting for companies where I was, trying to get them to use video in an interesting and correct manner for marketing and sales and that kind of thing. And my role is now a little bit more, essentially thinking from the software side, how we can build the right tools to help people do exactly the same thing. So it's just sort of slightly shifted focus. So I do a lot with like product strategy and thinking about the future of video and how that can work. I spend a lot of time doing the sort of day-to-day marketing, writing content, doing public speaking, creating presentations, trying to kind of empower and inspire the people around me to do more stuff. And recently we produced like a sort of, I guess, a video series that's about an hour and a half long, of which essentially is like a TV show. So yeah, last few months that's meant producing a TV show. So it's kind of crazy and a bit different. But video marketing, I suppose, is ultimately the art of trying to connect the dots between distribution, creation, and strategy. So you have to work out what the business needs, work out how to tell the right stories, and then how to get them in front of the right people, and make sure that all those dots are working beautifully with one another, so the business gets the best value that it can from the investment they make in content.
When people mention video marketing, or sometimes mention video marketing, a lot of people may think either, okay, shaky video filmed on an iPhone or smartphone, or something that's really high cost in production. In reality, what makes a successful video?
I mean, in one word, the story. It's all about what you're saying, that there's a space certainly for both very shaky, crappy footage and high quality production. In fact, one of the projects I've been doing recently is testing exactly that. We paid a top end Hollywood ad agency to make 3 ads, one for $1,000, one for $10,000, one for $100,000, and they shot the $1,000 video with an iPhone in a day, just one dude doing it himself, and the $10,000 was done with a slightly higher end camera, and the $100,000 video was done with full crew and everything you'd expect on a big TV ad shoot. And the $10,000 video won out. That was the one that had the best return on investment. But the 1K video and the 100K video sort of had equivalent value in terms of the return they were getting from advertising. So it's really not about, it really isn't about the production value. It's all about connecting a story to the equipment that you're using, and often something that's a bit more low end can be appropriate if you're just trying to do something that's telling a very honest story of one person talking to another. So yeah, it's all about the narrative, and it's all about the message and putting people front and center. So the best videos are those that essentially reduce the barrier that technology has put in our way, to prevent us from speaking to each other and communicating in a meaningful way, and actually video breaks that down and puts a voice and a face to a particular message, and that is a much more human way of communicating, which is why as barely evolved apes we tend to connect with it better than we do sort of other abstract sounds and images and that kind of thing.
So quite a meaty answer that, which is really interesting, because like the question alluded to, a lot of people just think it's either a video on an iPhone or really high production and everything like that. And I think it's fantastic that you mentioned it's all about the story, and then that's just the platform, regardless of the cost. It is just a platform. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and if you ask me a lofty question like what makes a successful video, you're going to get hours of rambling. Yeah, I mean, video is a media type. It's a method of communicating that is a fairly modern phenomenon, but it's grounded in the realities of art since time immemorial. So it's really no different from, in a sense, like if you think sculpture and painting, if sculpture's like 3D and painting is a 2D form, video is in a sense the kind of equivalent of the equivalent of theatre done in a 2D format. So it just changes the way you present stuff and what you choose to show, and it's a different framing, but ultimately it's still communicating in a very direct way, and there's nothing new under the sun in that regard. It's just a different way of telling the stories that we have done forever.
Okay, so I think what I'm taking away from that is to make an impactful video, it's all about storytelling initially. Could you take us through the various stages of actually the video production process and making that impactful video?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think firstly to say, I think that the stages do depend on your particular business, and that there
Hmm.
isn't. I'm going to go through like a sort of, I guess, a perfect strategy, but
Hmm.
ultimately you can start anywhere in the process as long as you do due diligence to make sure everything connects. The initial starting point is kind of what having your brand goals and brand position sorted. So working out who you are, what your particular perspective is as an organization, what you are trying to say and what change you want to see in the world, and having that kind of thing nailed. So you really do need that brand and product strategy in order to tie a successful video to that. Otherwise everything feels a bit disconnected and lofty. Once you've got that, you then really ideally need the goal for the video. To work out what it's trying to achieve, what the key metrics for success are, how you're going to kind of measure return. And ideally, that should then guide everything from there. It should guide the channel that you're going to distribute on, the particular action that you want people to take after it, and the message that's going to form its core. Once you've got, I guess, those essentially the basis of that strategy, then you're going to go to pre-production, which is ultimately about the scripting, the planning of the shoot, what you're going to record, what's going to be on images versus text, and planning that out and doing all the kind of work to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. And then you're going to pick up the camera, you're going to record it, you're going to, or animate it, or whatever you're going to do in terms of production. And then once you've got the initial footage, you'll then bring it into the editing process where you cut things down, add music, add graphical effects, all that kind of thing, and make sure that the video is flowing and really communicates the story you want to nicely. Then comes the kind of optimization for different channels. So working on the supporting copy, working on the thumbnails, working on all the things that really impact and affect the distribution, depending on where you're sharing it. And then lastly, that kind of promotion. So when you click launch, getting the right people to watch it, and either putting spend behind it or working with influencers or whatever that might be to make sure that the right people are going to watch the video.
Okay, I just want to go back to one point there, which is the optimizing of the channels and the various components that are linked to creating a successful video, because the usual places we consume videos today are social channels predominantly, I would say. Do different videos work better on certain platforms and not so on others?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that the best videos are very cognizant of the platforms that they're on and are kind of built with those platforms in mind. So just, just as a case in point, the kind of stuff that tends to work on YouTube tends to be a bit more oral, in the sense of it's really audio first. So if you think about this kind of content we're doing right now, a kind of podcast, it's primarily consumed in just the audio. The actual video of this is not too exciting. It's just two guys in our various apartments.
How dare you?
but that's fine. That's going to work quite well on YouTube. If you think about the way in which people consume YouTube, it's the discovery mechanism is very tied to language. You type in stuff in a search box, you click on a title and a thumbnail that potentially meets your interest, and then you kind of watch it, which is why things like music videos work very well on YouTube, lectures work very well. Longer form content tends to work well on YouTube as well. Whereas Facebook, the way we consume it is going through on our phones, usually just scrolling through, and we may occasionally stop when something catches our eye to kind of watch through, normally silently, on silent autoplay, that kind of thing. So the video therefore has to be far more visual in its hook and really tell the story in a very visual way rather than an oral way. So that optimization really has to take place from the very start and the very initial point where you're thinking about what you're going to create, because doing it properly will allow you to create content that's really going to make sense for the channel in question. That's not to say that you can't adjust stuff if you've already made the video and you can tweak things, but it's certainly the case that certain videos work better on certain platforms, and ideally you need to kind of have a position and a view on what your platform strategy is and which platforms you're going after and why, and then decide what kind of content you're going to put on those.
Okay, nice and comprehensive answer. I think we can all learn a few things from that, especially with some of the videos I've seen recently. They need to take some of your advice on board. Can videos help with SEO? I've always wondered this, or is it the search engines that are actually lagging behind? I know voice is up and coming and things like that, but I've always wondered about this one.
Yeah, I mean they make a huge difference. So I mean, I actually have a good sort of anecdote for this. Accidentally, we just did a kind of domain migration at Wistia, and we moved a bunch of content around and all that kind of stuff. And in the process, we had made a couple of errors where we basically accidentally de-indexed all our videos. Mea culpa, my fault, and I forgot about this. It's pretty bad for a video focused company to do that. We fixed it a couple of weeks later, but we observed what the difference was in not having videos, and it was quite substantial. So it definitely has a big impact, and you can just look at this by going through the videos tab in Google and find there's lots of kind of domains and options to crawl through. It's true that search engines are not brilliant, or Google and Bing certainly are not as good at crawling videos as they are at crawling images and text and stuff. But that's, I think, a processing power kind of question more than anything, and it's certainly more of a challenge for them to essentially parse both an audio file and then translate that into a text file they can then understand, as well as kind of look through a image file and a video file, pass that into a bunch of different images that they can understand. So it's more complicated, but they're certainly getting there. And videos have a big impact in terms of increasing the rich media and showing that to search engines that it is a page that has a lot more value. You can rank in Google video search, all that kind of thing, and it certainly makes a big impact, as I saw the hard way.
We nearly went really techie then. I was getting all excited, but you managed to pull it back.
Oh, don't tempt me.
Absolutely. Okay, quickly moving on. As any good host, did my research, and I noticed something called Soapbox. Can you explain what this is all about and how it can benefit any listeners?
I certainly can. Soapbox it's essentially a video creation app for casual video creation that we've created at Wistia. And it's mostly for sales, but really what it does is allows you to record your screen and your webcam at the same time, make a quick video, and then switch between the two views of the screen and the webcam, or have them both side by side, to create a video with kind of edits and a simple kind of two-stream video that you can switch between stuff and create something that adds a bit of flair and excitement. So it's essentially like taking that principle that was around for a long time of the screencast with the picture-in-picture video and things like Camtasia and tools that did that, and making it a lot simpler to create that kind of content in your web browser, where you can make it and instantaneously share it. So there's no upload time. It's recorded into the cloud and it lives in the cloud. You can edit it after you've distributed it, and it will just basically be alive. So we've sort of taken the hassle out of exporting, downloading, uploading, that kind of stuff, and just made it a very, very simple method of creating a nice looking video, particularly for things like presentations, pitches, demos, that kind of stuff, that you can then share either on social media, or the way most people are doing it is via email, in the context of maybe you're doing a sales pitch, you want to make a quick video that explains to your lead the value of your particular product or service, and you include a presentation. Maybe you show their website and show them how you could benefit them, all that kind of thing. Send that across, and you're really adding that kind of personal value and flavor when you're building this kind of content. So yeah, that's kind of Soapbox, and it's going pretty well. We've had it for about 14 months. It's been live now. I think it was last July we kind of launched it in July 17, and we've been expanding now to have like more analytics and things in the back end, so you can see what's going on. But yeah, at its core, it's a tool to really make videos very quickly, and we'd love for you all to go and try it and let me know what you think.
So this is plug time.
Plug time.
Yep, plug time. What's the URL for Soapbox?
Wistia.com/soapbox.
There you go. I'll put it in the show notes, but there's your little plug. Just before we go on to the quick fire questions, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Cool. Name one must-read business book.
Creativity Inc.
What was the last thing you Googled?
Oh, I think it was Royal Opera House champagne bar. Probably tells you a lot about my life.
Oh, it does massively. I'm not going to delve any deeper, because it's either going to make me jealous or it won't be as exciting as it sounds. What is your most used app at the moment?
Most used app? Runkeeper. I've started doing quite a bit of running, and that's been really helpful for that.
Cool, like that. What is your favourite theory, concept, or methodology?
My favourite theory, concept, or methodology? Gosh, how nerdy can I get here?
As nerdy as you want. Let's go.
All right. Probably the objectivist principle of epistemology with regards to concept formation and integration. Understanding that in a very fundamental sense has enabled me to be an effective thinker and someone who can pick up new ideas and principles extremely quickly. So changed my life. Would recommend everyone reads that book, Introduction to Objectivist Epistemology by Ayn Rand.
Okay, everybody's just gone, what?
Why you asked?
Yeah, absolutely no. I'll put a link in the show notes, and we'll all read it, and then we won't be going, what? Final question: what is your favourite soap?
Favorite soap? Soapbox, obviously. Favorite soap? God, I tell you what, I do like. What's it? The originals one that's made of lime that kind of tingles in the shower. I've forgotten what it's called.
Oh, is it the tea tree one?
Yeah, that one. That's great.
Love it. Absolutely love originals. They're brilliant. So to end, if people want to find out more about Wistia, or indeed Soapbox, which we've just plugged, or even yourself, where should they go?
I'm on the Twitters at Phil Nottingham. Wistia.com is your home for all things Wistia and Soapbox. And yeah, you can also email me at phil@wistia.com.
Fantastic. Phil, it's been a pleasure talking to you about video marketing and getting slightly geeky towards the end. It's brilliant.
All right, thanks very much, Peter. Appreciate it.
So video marketing, eh? Don't be scared, embrace it. And these are my takeaways from what Phil was saying. Firstly, remember that the story is all about the story, regardless of the production value. It's the narrative and the message that will win out, and putting people front and centre always pays dividends. Phil says that the best videos are those that reduce the barrier that technology has actually put in the way. That technology that makes producing videos easier. Who'd have thought it? It's a more human way of communicating and breaking down those barriers. So Phil kindly provided us with an 8-point list of how to create compelling videos, regardless of your budget. So here's 1 through 8. 1, you need to understand your goals and positioning of the brand. 2, you need to find main goals for the video, which link to number 3. What is the call to action? What are you looking for your ideal clients to do once they've watched the video? Remember, channel, action, message. 4, pre-production planning. You'll need a script, location, and action points. 5 is the actual recording. 6, editing and post-production. 7, optimize the video for the channels you intend to output your content on. Supporting copy, thumbnails, and all that intro stuff is required. And finally, number 8, promotion. Sometimes forgotten, but to achieve your goals and objectives, it's hugely important. The next takeaway was how videos can have a big impact on SEO. Search engines may not be as good at crawling videos as they are images and text, but they are improving all the time and do have an impact. All you've got to do is check out the video search results on Google. And yes, the text is important and the content and where they're placed is massively important, but it's the video that's getting the engagement once it's found. And finally, check out Soapbox, which can help with your own video strategy. That's at wistia.com/soapbox. And finally on this episode, as I said in the introduction, I want to introduce you to Postit Marketing. Professionally simple. That's PIMPS for short. And there's a bit of a backstory to that, which I covered in a post on LinkedIn, and I might share it with you later, or I'll just let you search for it. Now, I want to bring you as much information as possible to help with your studies. And what I have found is that short sound bites, along with long-form content, i.e. podcasts, work really well and complement each other. So what am I talking about? Well, Postit Marketing is just that. Me, with a Post-it note, creating 30 to 60-second videos about a marketing topic to give you an insight into the industry and some of its nuances. From the acronyms we come across, to how a chicken dinner can break down the differences between omni and multi-channel, and there's been a bit of a conversation about that on LinkedIn, which is quite funny. You can check all these Postit Marketing videos out at www.marketingstudylab.co.uk/Postit. Or connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I usually post them, but they do go on Twitter and they do go on Facebook and Instagram from time to time. Or, even better, join the Marketing Study Lab Facebook group, and I'll post them on there, along with some really interesting, relevant topics. As I said in the last episode, it's in its infancy, and it will grow and get better. So join us. Make it bigger, make it better. Thank you so much for joining us today on Marketing Study Lab. It really means the world that you're listening to this out there, and hopefully I've provided you some value. If you're looking to know more about what Marketing Study Lab does and is about, go to marketingstudylab.co.uk or get in touch with me personally, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or feel free to email me at peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk. Happy marketing.